Elementary Science Class 8. Combustion and Flame. What is combustion? Combustion is a chemical process in which a substance reacts with oxygen to produce heat and light.
Wow, that's interesting. What kind of fuels are used for combustion?
We use different kinds of fuels for various purposes, such as wood, coal, charcoal, petrol, diesel, and compressed natural gas, CNG.
I see. How do these fuels burn differently from a candle?
Candles burn with a flame, while some fuels like coal may not produce a flame during combustion.
I remember learning about burning magnesium ribbon in class. Does that also involve combustion?
Yes, that's correct. When magnesium burns, it reacts with oxygen to form magnesium oxide, releasing heat and light.
Fascinating. What role does air play in the combustion process?
Air is necessary for combustion to take place. If air is not available, the flame will flicker and eventually go out. Ignition temperature. Ignition temperature is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire and starts burning. Let me show you an experiment to demonstrate this.
Okay, I'm excited to learn more.
We're going to place a piece of burning wood or charcoal on an iron plate and cover it with a glass jar or transparent container. Let's see what happens.
Wow, the charcoal stops burning after a while. Why does that happen?
It's because the charcoal needs to reach a certain ignition temperature to continue burning. Once the temperature drops below that, the burning stops.
I see. So, different substances have different ignition temperatures. That's really interesting.
Exactly. That's why some substances, like kerosene oil and LPG, are considered flammable or inflammable. They have very low ignition temperatures and can easily catch fire.
Wow, that's good to know. We need to be really careful with those kinds of substances, don't we?
Absolutely. Understanding ignition temperature and the properties of flammable substances is crucial for safety and preventing accidents. How do we control fire? Have you ever seen a fire break out in a building or a shop?
Yes, I have. It was really scary to see how quickly it spread.
Exactly. That's why it's important to know how to control fire. Do you know what the fire brigade does when they arrive?
They pour water on the fire, right? But why does that work?
Great question. Water cools the combustible material, lowering its temperature below the ignition point.
Oh, so it also cuts off the air supply with the water vapors.
Exactly. There are 3 essential requirements for fire: fuel, air, and heat.
So, if we remove one of those, we can control the fire.
That's right. The job of a fire extinguisher is to cut off air or reduce the temperature.
I remember that water is not suitable for all fires, especially electrical ones.
Correct. For electrical fires, carbon dioxide is the best extinguisher because it covers the fire like a blanket.
How do we get carbon dioxide?
It can be stored in cylinders under high pressure. When released, it expands and cools down.
That's fascinating. So, CO2 not only smothers the fire but also cools the fuel.
Exactly. And we can also use dry powder chemicals like baking soda to produce CO2 near the fire. Flame. Hey, have you ever noticed the color of an LPG flame? It's usually blue, right?
Yeah, and a candle flame is more yellow or orange. It's fascinating how different flames can be.
Exactly. And remember when we burned a magnesium ribbon in class? It produced a bright white flame.
I do. That was so cool. What about other materials? Do they all produce flames?
Not all materials do. For instance, charcoal doesn't produce a flame because it doesn't vaporize.
Oh, I see. So, what actually creates a flame when burning something?
Flames are produced by substances that vaporize during burning, like kerosene oil or molten wax.
That makes sense. I remember we observed a circular blackish ring on a glass plate after holding it in the flame.
Right. That ring shows the deposition of unburnt carbon particles from the luminous zone.
And when we held a copper wire in the non-luminous zone, it got red hot, indicating a high temperature.
Exactly. The non-luminous zone is actually the hottest part of the flame.
So, goldsmiths use the outermost zone for melting gold and silver because of the high heat.
Yes, they blow with a metallic blowpipe to reach those high temperatures needed for melting. Fuel. Fuels are substances like wood, coal, and petrol that provide heat energy for cooking and heating.
What makes a good fuel then?
A good fuel is usually cheap, burns easily, and produces a lot of heat without leaving behind undesirable substances.
Are there different types of fuels?
Yes, fuels can be classified as solid, liquid, or gaseous. Can you think of some examples?
Wood is solid, petrol is liquid, and gas is like LPG, right?
Great job. Now, let's talk about fuel efficiency. Do you know what calorific value means?
Isn't that how much heat a fuel produces when it burns?
Exactly. It's measured in kilojoules per kilogram. Different fuels have different calorific values.
What about the harmful effects of burning fuels?
Good question. Burning fuels can release dangerous pollutants like carbon monoxide and contribute to global warming.
Wow, I didn't know that. What can we do about it?
It's important to be aware that cleaner fuels like CNG produce fewer harmful products compared to petrol and diesel.